Villager trading is a unique game mechanic that can really benefit us Minecraft players by providing access to enchanted books, tools, weapons, armor, even food. However, the steep cost of time and effort that it takes to lock those villagers into the perfect trades actually encourages us to lock them up in one by one holes in our trading hall forever for their safety and our sanity. Hey y'all, I'm the Southern Man, but all my friends call me Tasoma. I do prefer the whimsy of allowing our villagers to wander the town freely, providing life and movement to our Minecraft worlds. However, I do agree that we need some greater protection for those precious leveled up villagers. I recently made a trading hall with a more open concept, so the villagers could travel back and forth from work and home. This time, I'd like to design a vertical trading hall that keeps the villagers contained inside a single structure, but still allows movement throughout the building during the day. Basically, the villagers can live and work and relax all in the same building. Hopefully, this concept will be a kind of a middle ground between completely dangerous freedom and completely safe slavery. Let's observe a typical day in the life of a villager. As day begins, villagers head to their workstations to perform their daily jobs. Villagers will work diligently throughout the work hours until gather time. Everyone congregates near the bell to share the stories of the day. As the sun sets on another productive Minecraft day, everyone heads home to bed. All of these daily activities bring life and movement to the village. However, it also brings danger. Unless you've put a wall around your village and lit it up properly, there's always the risk of one of your villagers succumbing to the dangers of the game. Let's build a villager trading hall that mitigates some of that risk. We can balance their need for safety by putting them inside a contained structure, while still giving them freedom to move about and complete all of their daily schedule in the building itself. We'll start by marking out a 16 by 16 building square. I like the challenge of trying to fit everything into a single chunk, but you can make your foundation larger if you like. I think this trading hall can comfortably fit 10 villagers, give or take a couple. Our main building will be 14 by 14 square, with 1 block for the floor, 4 blocks tall for the walls, and 1 more block for the ceiling, so a total of 6 blocks tall. Now, let's just repeat that process for the other 2 floors. I'm using 3 different shades of pink blocks to show the difference in the levels as we build. Don't worry, we're gonna change it and make it look better later. This is just so we can focus on the function and not the aesthetic. Let's begin filling out the interior of our build, but starting with function first. So let's start with a door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll place a door in the middle. So now we have an entrance to our building and a couple stairs to get up there. All right. This will be the player entrance where you'll come in to trade with the villagers, and they will gather and sleep on the upper floors. So we need to build some way for them to access the upper levels. Now, villagers cannot climb ladders, so we're going to have to use a staircase. And we're going to put it directly opposite the door on the other side. So centered along and into from the edge, we're going to build a double staircase for them. So this will be our kind of center here, and then staircase up on this side. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. Staircase. And then when they get up to here, then we're going to go up. So we'll start breaking the roof a little bit here so we can get out. And there we go. Now we have a staircase leading downward. Now you probably have to break a few more blocks here so we don't hit our head. There we go. All right, we have a double staircase leading up to the second floor. We're just going to repeat this on the next floor, but in the opposite direction. So where the villagers will come up the staircase here, directly across is where they will go up again to the next floor using the double staircase method. All right, now we could do this ad infinitum. You could continue going from one floor to the next by making a double staircase on one and then upward on the next. Now, the double staircase is not entirely necessary unless we want to really control the villager movements. If you're going to let the villagers just have free reign over the building, then you could just make one staircase straight up. However, this double staircase, especially here at the bottom, is going to allow us to use a tiny bit of redstone to control their schedule a little more closely. Now that we have the basic structure laid out, we can adapt each floor to the villagers' daily needs. The bottom floor will be the work floor, the middle will be for gathering, and the top floor will be for sleeping. Let's put in some workstations. I'm going to make a little counter area here for the work area. So 5 by 6 by 5. And this is where the player could enter and trade with the villagers. I'm going to make librarians. I think that's a pretty standard village trading hall. We all need our enchanted books. So I'm going to put in enough workstations for 10 villagers. You could probably get away with a few more, but I think this is a good start. The second floor is for gathering, and the main item we need here is a bell. So we could place that anywhere. Let's give it a little spot. There you go. Now the villagers are going to want to come up these stairs and gather around the bell or in the general area here during that part of their daily schedule. Finally, the villagers are going to need somewhere to sleep at the end of a long, hard day. So this final top level will be the bedroom. Since we're planning for 10 villagers, I'm just going to place down 10 beds like so. And now they have a place to rest. The functional parts of our trading hall are now complete. The villagers have a place to work, a place to gather, and a place to sleep at the end of the day. However, we all know that this is not a safe build at the current moment. Villagers have a propensity for getting themselves into dangerous situations. So we need to enclose this building and then work a little bit more on safety and security inside. Our villager trading hall has been safely secured for our villagers' protection. I used a lot of glass just so we can see the process. We can look at actual designs and colors and decor later. But we've just enclosed the entire building so that the villagers would be safe inside. They can't get out and the mobs cannot get in. As the player enters for trading, you can see that we've placed a line of blocks above the lecterns. That way the villagers cannot jump on top of their workstations and exit through the main door. They are trapped inside the actual building space. Now, originally, there wasn't any connection between the player trading space and the villager space. So I went back and made some little gated areas here in the front that would connect to the villagers. That way, you can use those access points for installing the villagers or fixing any errors or issues. And then you could either leave them or you could wall all of that off afterward. I did push the windows out one block here, still within our 16 block square, but that would give us room for that little passageway or to use these as display windows to make some kind of display to show what's being sold in the shop. Now, villagers tend to be a little accident prone, so I did put fences around the staircases so they wouldn't fall over the edge. That's not a big drop that should injure them, but they are likely to just jump off. I also blocked in the staircase on the other side as well. Just put some straight flat walls down. It makes it look a little cleaner and, again, makes it so the villagers can't just bail off the stairs on the sides. I did the same on the lower trading floor, except that I didn't put the full columns of blocks here in the front, just to give the villagers a little more space to walk around behind their workstations. With the addition of a little bit of light and some more fences on top, our villagers should have a very safe passageway from one floor to the next through the whole building. Our vertical villager hall is now technically complete. We have 3 complete levels that are safe and secure and built with the villagers' daily schedule in mind. Our villagers will always be down here on the bottom floor during their work hours. However, what if we want to improve our trading efficiency? What if we want the villagers to work a little overtime and be available longer in the day? We can add a tiny bit of redstone to our build that will allow us to manipulate their schedule. For each side, you'll need just a few blocks, 2 pressure plates, 2 gates, a book, a lectern, 2 comparators, and 1 daylight detector. So you'll need double that, so you have 1 set for each side. First, let's build our gate. We're going to put a couple blocks and then 2 gates in front and 2 pressure plates in front of the stairs. That way the villagers can open the gates to come to work, but they can't go back home until we open the gates with redstone. To open the gates, we're going to use a little bit of redstone. I promise it's very easy. We're going to put a solid block so the power goes through it to the gate. We're going to use a comparator pointing into the solid block and a daylight detector on the other side. This is why we left this strip on the outside of our square, because now the daylight detector has access to the sky. Light is giving it a power signal, and when that power signal goes through the comparator, it opens the gate. Now, we don't want this gate open all the time, so we're going to add another comparator pointing toward the first one, a lectern directly behind it, and then a book on the lectern with 15 pages. Now, when a lectern has a book on it with 15 pages, each page corresponds to 1 power level, the same power level. So page 1 for 1, etc. Villager pathfinding will cause the villagers to ascend this staircase toward the bell to gather together around 9,000 game ticks. We want them to stay down here on this level for trading, so we want this gate to be closed at that time. According to the power levels of the daylight detector, the power level dropping from 14 to 13 occurs just before 9,000 game ticks. So if we turn the book pages to 14, that will equal a power level of 14. With this simple setup, the gate will be open whenever the daylight detector's power level and the lectern's power levels are the same, or the daylight detector is stronger. So as it is 15, then 14, the gate will remain open. When the light levels fade and the daylight detector drops to level 13, this will be less than the lectern at level 14, and therefore the gate will close. Since the gate is closed, the villagers won't be able to go upstairs to the bell for gather time, so they'll have to remain around here and will be able to trade longer. We do want our villagers to go to bed eventually, so we're going to build a second gate on the opposite side, and this will be our bedtime gate. So we're going to build it the exact same way as our other gate. We're just going to put a different power level in the lectern. So block, comparator, daylight detector, comparator, lectern, and book. We're going to make 2 changes. First, we are going to leave the book on a level 1, and instead of using a daylight detector, we're going to use an inverted daylight detector by just clicking that. Now, this is looking for low levels of light or nighttime rather than daytime. As the sun fades, the inverted daylight detector recognizes the lack of light and therefore sends a power signal to the comparator. Because we have this on a level 1 book, it only needs a power level of 1 to open the gate. Now it's bedtime and the villagers can leave the trading hall and go up the stairs to bed. Let's rebuild our wall, add some villagers, and see this all in action. And already I've found some issues. I forgot to go back and close in these walls, and so the villagers are just jumping over them. I need to go back and make sure everything is contained and there are no 1 block tall heights for the villagers to jump over the gates. Our gate just closed as the power level outside dropped from level 14 to 13 on our daylight detector. So now it'll be time for a gathering, and you can see everyone start milling around. With their pathway blocked, they know that they cannot pathfind to the actual bell, and so they just remain here near their workstations, but spend a little time socializing or staring. It's almost dusk, and any moment our gate will open due to the inverted daylight detector. There it goes, and now everyone knows it's time for bed and they can head upstairs. Now, what would this look like differently during gather time if the gate was always open? So, we're here on the outside and we're going to change our book from level 14 all the way down to level 1. That way, if there's any little bit of daylight, the power will be activating that gate and leaving it open. During the day, everything looks the same. The villagers are just hard at work in the trading hall. However, now that it's gather time, the villagers all know where that bell is and they're headed upstairs, leaving the trading hall empty. It's a little crowded here on the stairs, but they're all trying to gather somewhere in the vicinity of the bell to have some socialization time. Apparently, some are even wandering upstairs before it's time for bed. But the sun is setting, and pretty soon everyone will be up here ready to turn in for the night. As demonstrated, using this two-gate system allows you control if the villagers can leave their workstations or if they have to stay. The best part is this is easily toggleable. You just have to come to this lectern that has a power level 14 and turn it down to a level 1. And then during daylight hours, the gate will just stay open and the villagers can go up and down the stairs as they please. Then, if you want them to work some overtime, you can just change it back to a level 14 in the book, reinstating the gate system. Either way, whether the villagers are working their normal shift or putting in some overtime hours, they are safe and secure inside this building. They have a little more movement, but a lot more protection, so we don't lose any of those fabulous trades. Why all this fuss about gates and daylight detectors when we could just put the bell above the door and put all the beds in the trading hall and even let them have movement but live and work and sleep in the same room? Minecraft is a game, but for me, I still want to play with kindness and compassion, even toward the NPCs. I like to find ways to incorporate them into my world instead of just treating them like a resource. Minecraft gives us the opportunity to play with all sorts of gameplay styles, and it's important to find the one that keeps you inspired and interested for years to come. Besides, just look at these sweet little faces. You can just see the whimsy in their eyes. Now that we have finished the functionality of this vertical villager trading hall, we can just work on the aesthetics. We can change the look of this shop to match the lore of our own Minecraft world. We could turn our design into a vintage bookstore where the villagers are ready to trade on the first floor, gather to socialize around the water cooler on the second floor, and get a good night's sleep on the 3rd floor. Maybe you're building in a more modern style and you want the trading hall to look like an office building. Your villagers can be hard at work here in their millennial gray office, enjoying a cup of coffee or some conversation after work, and finally heading off to dreamland. As long as the daylight detectors have light access, they will still work, so you can cover them with trapdoors to hide them. You could hide them under some shrubbery because light can still go through a leaf block. You could use a carpet on top, or you could just leave it exposed to the air, especially if you're in an area where the traffic is going to be on the ground and they won't see it from above. This version is probably my favorite. I've sandwiched 2 units together and then split each one in half to make smaller shops. So this is one of the 16 unit squares as we built before, and this is another square, and we just put them side by side, touching, so they would make like a little row of shops hooked together. Then, instead of having a door in the middle, I divided it in half and put a door on each side. If we head into the bakery, we'll see that there are 5 farmers ready to sell us bread and cake and cookies. On the other half of the building, you guessed it, there are more farmers, but these are ready to sell us gold and carrots. Our next shop has smokers and butchers ready to sell us chicken and pork chops. Finally, you can probably guess from the display in the window that this is a fisherman's shop ready to sell us some cooked fish. This building looks like the shops are separated from the front facade. However, if we go behind the scenes, you can see that the 2 shops are still connected in the back. We did not change the overall structure of the building except for the decoration of the front facade and the dividing wall between the 2 shops. The villagers still share the upper floors as well, which could make for quite the rivalry in decorations, or you could convert everything into a single shared style. Finally, remember that you don't have to put all your villagers in the exact same place. Maybe you want to build this shop system to house those villagers with your most important trades to keep them safe and secure. Consider building other trading areas. For example, you could build an open-air market for maybe those villagers that you're not quite as worried about their trades, but they can still add movement and life and wonder to your world. Using different techniques can definitely be a way to add whimsy to our Minecraft builds. Well, what did you think? I hope this build inspired you to consider how you might balance freedom and safety in your next build. Good Lord willing and the sun still shines, I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you kindly for watching and bless your heart.